Welcome back to the OSINT report. If you find value in these grounded breakdowns of defense acquisition and open source data analysis, please do me a favor, subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell for future updates. It really does help the channel grow. This is an ongoing and evolving story. We've covered the June 15th test flight accident involving B-52H Aircraft 60-0061 twice before on this channel, or Balls 61 as a few veteran crew members in the comments pointed out. If you haven't seen those earlier breakdowns covering the initial flight tracking data, the fleet impact, both are linked in the pinned comments. I'll put them below. Right now, we're looking at the latest official data as it comes out of the Air Force Materiel Command. Initial reports give us the immediate picture on the flight line, but the official updates, such as those delivered this past week by the B-52 System Program Office at the Air Force's Life Cycle Industry Days in Dayton, Ohio, show us what this loss actually means for the broader force structure moving forward. When you step back from the accident site at Edwards, a single modification made this specific airframe central to the entire global strike modernization timeline. To see why, we have to look at what that aircraft was carrying. Ball 61 was the lead integration hull testing the Raytheon AN APQ-188 active electronically scanned array radar, a sensor derived from the proven FA-18 E&F Super Hornet radar architecture. In simple terms, this program replaces the legacy mechanically scanned AN APQ-166 radar, a 60s era radar, and a system plagued by component fatigue and vanishing supply chains, with a new solid state digital sensor suite. The new array gives flight crews drastically expanded radar range, high resolution synthetic aperture terrain mapping, and multi-target tracking under dense electronic warfare conditions. This is a critical capability leap for an airframe built in the 50s and 60s, but because Ball 61 was carrying the active flight test workload, airborne radar evaluations are completely frozen while the Air Force Safety Investigation Board completes its work. At the conference in Dayton, Colonel Spencer Turner, the B-52 System Program Manager, addressed the situation directly regarding how the program office plans to recover. Speaking to reporters, Colonel Turner emphasized the original acquisition plan and execution strategy was always to have 2 test aircraft. Obviously, the crash was not in our original schedule, so we need to look at our schedule and adjust as necessary. Now, while the Air Force has not publicly released the specific tail number for that secondary test aircraft, Colonel Turner confirmed that the second B-52H is currently on the floor at Boeing's Port San Antonio facility, where installation of the complete AESA radar package remains ongoing. Structural modifications and sensor integration on this second bomber are expected to wrap up, best case scenario, before the end of this year. However, losing the primary test platform eliminates the program's operational buffer entirely. Flight testing will not resume overnight. Even before the crash, the radar modernization program was facing structural pressures, including a cost breach that forced acquisition authorities to trim initial procurement scope. Transitioning the test plan entirely onto the San Antonio airframe pushes the delivery window for operational squadrons right to the margins. This pause also intersects with another massive recapitalization effort, the Commercial Engine Replacement Program, which replaces the legacy Pratt & Whitney TF-33s with new Rolls-Royce F-130 turbofans. Air Force officials in Dayton emphasized that the engine integration testing managed out of Arnold Engineering Development Complex remains on a separate track. However, managing 2 concurrent multi-billion-dollar overhauls at the depot levels leaves virtually zero capacity to absorb additional test flight delays. The institutional reality is straightforward. The Air Force isn't abandoning the B-52J upgrade. They're actively pushing to resume flight testing as soon as the second test bed rolls out of Port San Antonio later this year. At the same time, This setback illustrates how fragile defense acquisition schedules become when you attempt to graft modern digital age warfare systems onto a 60-year-old heavy bomber airframe meant to serve well into the 2050s. We'll continue to monitor the Safety Investigation Board findings when they become publicly available and any program updates as they come in. I cover these acquisition mechanics and open source defense topics in much greater depth over on Substack. The link to the latest article that I put up there is pinned in another comment below, alongside the previous two B-52 breakdowns. You can subscribe to the newsletter there. It's free. There's no paywall or anything like that. Or share your analysis and your thoughts on the program in general in the comments section below. If you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel and click the notification bell for future updates. And as always, I thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the comments.